Alright, this is Laz, and I am with CCP Rise, who most of you know from his former self, Kill 2.
Do people remember that still?
I think so. I actually hear people missing the bringing solo back stuff every once in a while.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, everyone loved your videos. And by everyone, I mean me, of course.
Yeah.
I do hear people asking about if there's anything ever going to be brought back from the bringing solo back, and probably the answer would be no, being that you're...
I always tell them as soon as I get fired, I'll get back to making that stuff.
So they need to be sending their emails to Hilmar, or...
Yeah, just sabotage me somehow as an employee, and then podcast will come back.
Okay. Then you guys now know the answer to that question. Please don't. We like Kill 2, or we like CCP Rise and what he does here. For now. For now. So, I guess, what are you doing right now? Team you're working on, and how have you enjoyed your 3 years now? Is it 3?
Just 2, actually.
You're 2 years now at CCP.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm on Team Pirate Unicorns, which is tackling all the NPE related stuff right now, building the opportunity system and figuring out how to deploy that. And yeah, we've been working on kind of that or features related to that, like the notifications, for the last year or so. So that's been my biggest focus. As always, I'm also doing balance work of varying types. I actually did some of the module tier side work. I've done some ship tier side work recently, like the pirate factions. Done some new ship work, like the Morty's Legion ships, and helped work a lot on the new destroyers. And then now we're looking kind of forward at bigger ships and trying. A lot of my role right now actually is helping to lovingly embrace our new CCP Larrikin and get him up to speed. Okay. Yeah, well, we did interview him right before this, and he talked about some of the stuff he was doing, and he's working on the same team as you. But yeah. He's mentioned he's eager to get involved and kind of embrace his dream of being a game developer. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting proposition. Mm-hmm. So, you said bigger ships, which I assume capitals and super capitals. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and actually even potentially including battle cruisers and battleships. I mean, we just been talking kind of as a department about looking at the state of of kind of big ships across the board, and just trying to make sure that everything's in the best place it can be. And obviously there's pretty glaring spots where that's not the case. I think it's pretty simple to say that supers aren't in a good place. Mm-hmm. And then with battleships it's a little more complicated. Like, it's maybe not ideal, it's not perfect, but it's also not this not too far gone. Yeah, it's not a huge mess necessarily. So, but we're just kind of taking stock of all that and starting to figure out a plan we can use to make sure we're in the best place we can be. So when it comes to capitals and supers, any ideas on the board for how you guys plan on approaching it? I mean, for now, okay, so for approaching it, we kind of just moved towards making it a big enough priority that we can really invest a lot of time in it as a team. That's basically happening now. And there was discussions kind of leading up to that, so that was kind of just the start of the approach, is let's get some time allocated on an actual dev team. Because I think people have the idea that, well, I don't know, I'm curious what people think about how development actually works, but just because we can acknowledge that there's a problem with something, and kind of have it in our heads that we should be thinking about it and trying to figure out if there's obvious solutions or obvious changes that we want to make, there's a really big difference between something that falls in that category where we're just like, like this is, like ECM that like haunts me every day of my life. But there's a difference between that and, kind of thinking about that off and on, and then actually putting it on a dev team as a thing that we're working on. And we're kind of at the stage now where we're just moving it onto a team, which is a really big step, because then from that point we can really dig into the work. The approach, I mean, the stage we'll be in next is just gathering a lot of information, using a lot of player proposals and discussion, and just making sure we understand the mechanics and the way things are being used now as well as possible, and then that sets us up for actually putting together some ideas for what kind of changes we can make. Yeah, it's really interesting to hear your spin on the or not spin, but rather take on the development process. We interviewed CCP Siegel on Saturday, and she kind of led us through the development process on her end and some of the things that she's changed since becoming executive producer to kind of make it easier for the game designers to be able to get to work on the development process without having to do a lot of the checks and balances where you go to I believe the production or the what do you call it, the
the actual owner of the thing to get permission. And
yeah. There's been a huge shift that she's been leading to get as much ownership onto the team as possible. So, each of the feature teams is really the ultimate kind of has the most say in what gets worked on and how priorities are arranged. And yeah, she's been trying to help remove as many kind of artificial blocks as possible, and it's been really positive. Gives us a lot of power to be more flexible and to tackle things that we really feel matter, rather than having to try to convince someone else who's further up the food chain that something matters, and then maybe get the blessing to go do work on it. Now we can just own it as a team, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, she said that's one of the big things that has allowed to go from 2 big expansions per year to smaller deployments.
Right.
Yeah, I think I think the player base is really looking at it and liking the new deployment schedule, even though some deployments are smaller than others.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's definitely part of the deal. But
yeah, and then
it kind of blew my mind though, like in the keynote, to hear her list all the things we've actually made in the last 9 months. It's like so much stuff. Even though yeah, at points during that, some of the releases didn't seem super huge, or like the trickle, it's kind of easy to lose track of how much is actually going into the game. And I feel like when she read the list, I was like, geez, like there's so many features, like so much has happened in 9 months. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and CCP is going back and starting to hit some of the older stuff that they have put into the game and just kind of looking at it, which brings us to the Ishtar. Hey! So the Ishtar changes go live, which would be Skilla, which
tomorrow.
It's recording tomorrow.
Yep.
And a lot of people are concerned that the changes aren't far enough.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I mean, that's definitely a legitimate position to have. I've heard kind of a range of supporting arguments for that, and I think some are probably valid and some probably aren't. But I mean, the nice thing is that we can see what happens and then make follow-up changes. I think unlike the last tweak, because I was kind of saying the same thing. We made a small tweak after, I don't remember now, it was a couple of releases ago.
Right.
Changes to the speed and some other, I don't remember, some little tweaks, but nothing huge.
Mm-hmm.
And people said the same thing, said this isn't going to have a huge effect, and they were right, it didn't have a huge effect. So it feels funny to be saying that again, but I think we feel a lot more confident that this change will at least have a big impact of some kind, and that doesn't necessarily mean that people will stop using Ishtars. I mean, I think it's almost certain that it won't mean they stop using Ishtars, but at least we feel confident there'll be an impact, and then we can go look at what the impact is, and if we need more, then we can just go and do more.
All right. So with these changes that are going in live from Skilla, do you actually have a time frame that you're looking at? Say, all right, releasing this today, and then 2 months from now, we'll go back and look at it and see how it worked.
It's always tough because it depends on how dramatic the effect is. Like if it has a really, for instance, if usage doesn't change at all, if we see nobody move away from Ishtar fleets and nobody shift to anything else in its place, we probably wouldn't need much time. We could be like, okay, there's not really any impact. But for a lot of balance changes, there's so much momentum where maybe there is an impact, but it might take 6 months for the full impact to be realized as people just slowly shift away to other things, as they have time to train for them, or they have time to offload assets and buy new things. If we make a change to Ishtars and you have 5 Ishtars in your hangar, you probably keep buying them for a bit, but do you buy new ones when you lose those?
Okay.
And so that way, sometimes it takes a bit for that momentum to sort of wear off in us to see what the actual long-term impact is. And we'll just have to see. So it's hard to put a timeline. I would like to think that in the next month or two we would have a good idea of whether or not it was enough of a change to get them out of the really, really dominant position they're in now, but who knows?
Just have to wait and see.
Yep.
All right. Fair enough. And you mentioned battleships and battlecruisers earlier. You said you're going to probably looking at doing some things with those.
I mean, I definitely am not saying we're going to do something with those. We're just, it's been, pretty common sentiment. I mean, I heard it a lot at FanFest. I've, been seeing it a lot in the forums and other, people's articles, blogs, things like that people feel there's a problem, feel that it seems like, people really want to be using battleships more often. They really feel disappointed that because of warp speed or because of bombs or whatever it is, that they're a little hard to justify in a lot of situations. And so we just want to go look at that and see if there's anything that we can do that doesn't go against any of the sort of design goals we had with the warp speed changes or whatever, and would still kind of find some middle place where people were getting to use them as much as they wanted. I know Fozzie talked about suggestion to up the warp speed on battlecruisers just a bit, which I think is pretty likely that'll actually happen. We'll see. And then we also had some conversations about looking at other ways to give people trade-offs that could give them more warp speed, something like low slot modules. We'll see, but it's something we want to look at for sure.
All right, and the fragility of battlecruisers when it comes to nullsec and bombers. Have you guys considered looking at that? Because right now, with the state of bombers and the way meta currently is battlecruisers have no place in 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, we saw pretty much all of the battlecruiser use get traded out for hack use over the last couple of years, and at least in the big nullsec environments, they're still actually getting used in general on TQ a decent amount. It's not anywhere near where it was when Drakes and Hurricanes were really popular, but it's also not like they don't exist. But I think that's probably more of a bomber issue, and we're still talking a lot about bombers and whether or not there's changes we can make to open up things a little bit for classes like battlecruisers and battleships. So, but that's I don't know. I don't know if I can say much more.
Okay.
I mean, it's just I don't think we have a solution at the moment. But
bombers are still a thing that are on the current table. They're something
absolutely.
That's planned, examples.
Right. Yeah, definitely on the table.
Okay. So I would have been flamed if I would have just asked that question.
Yeah.
So bombers are not something that's in the future, everyone. It's something that CCP is actively working on. So don't fret. It's been looking at.
It's being looked at. Yeah.
So I think in the next year and a half, what would you like to see in EVE?
I mean, I think the biggest success I could possibly hope for is if we get big aspirational ships to a place where people are excited about them, where all capitals have a good role that people are excited to get to fulfill. You know, that cap pilots feel excited about the fact that they are cap pilots, and that the whole experience surrounding large ships is really positive and fun. I think that would be very, very exciting for me. I mean, yeah, especially if you keep it confined at least to the realm that I'm influencing. I'd also like to see our new player conversion double or something, but.
Well, that could be a possibility. The NPE changes are actually quite good, just from reading the blogs and hopefully experiencing it. Maybe I'll create a new character and do some streaming of the new player experience. I think a lot of people look into that.
Seems like it's going pretty well so far. Doubling is probably a little...
might be a little optimistic. But aim high, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. But anything you have for people who will watch the video, EVE players, non-EVE players?
I mean, no. EVE's the best game around.
Oh, obviously.
Whether you're an EVE player or not an EVE player, I think that's true. So that could be a final thought for me.
Well, and like Rise said, as they make these changes to the ship balancing and the NPE, they're going to have threads up on the forums for feedback. So make sure if you do have issues or want to give praise. But we all know we don't give praise; we just give issues.
I mean, I would definitely, especially if you've spent any time thinking about, specific solutions for caps and super caps for how that could. I know Manny made a post suggesting kind of a philosophy for dealing with it. So anything like that, get it out there in public so we can see it and kind of add it to our pool of stuff we're drawing from. And also, if you're just someone who wants to use these ships and just have opinions about kind of what you think they should be, I mean, how you think they should feel to use, or what you kind of just need as a player when it comes to these ships, just tell us that. You don't have to have specific solutions, but it's interesting to hear what people... I think this is especially interesting when it comes to battleships and battlecruisers. It's clear that people kind of want them to be something. They have an idea of how popular they should be or how powerful they should be. And even without talking about whether it should be warp speed that changes or whether they should have more HP or whatever solution it is you imagine, just talking about what you think kind of role they should fulfill or how they should feel to use can be really helpful for us. So yeah, just don't hesitate to get your opinions out there. It could help us a lot.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, this is CCP Rise. Thank you for coming on with us. and we'll see you later.
Yep.